was one of many Jews who still lived in Babylonia. He held an important post as the Emperor Artaxerxes' wine steward. That meant that every day he would taste the king's wine before serving it to him to make sure that it wasn't poisoned to kill the king. The wine steward had to be a man the emperor trusted completely. One day, one of the Jews who had returned to Jerusalem came back to Babylon and visited his friend Nehemiah. He had a sad tale to tell.
Things are bad. The walls are still not built, and there are no city gates. The people of the land make life impossible for us.
When he had gone, Nehemiah felt very depressed. He went off alone to pray. "Oh God," he prayed, "we have disobeyed you, and we served other idols, and we haven't pleased you, but please forgive us and show us your kindness, because we want to turn back to you. Please soften the emperor's heart so that he is willing to hear me when I ask for his help." For 4 whole months, Nehemiah prayed and he waited. Then, one day, his opportunity came. He was serving Artaxerxes wine in his winter palace in Susa. The emperor looked at him sharply.
What is the matter? I know you aren't ill, but you look miserable.
Nehemiah's heart missed a beat. No servant was supposed to show any feelings in front of the king, but he made up his mind to risk the emperor's anger. Before he answered, he breathed a quick prayer to God for help. Then he said, I am sad because my own people are in trouble. Would you allow me to return to my own land to help rebuild the wall in the city of Jerusalem?" The emperor looked across at the empress, that's the queen, who was sitting beside him. She was smiling kindly at Nehemiah.
How long would you be gone?
Nehemiah had all the answers ready. He had made careful plans. When the emperor gave him permission to go, he asked him for timber, that's wood, from the royal forest for the building work, and a travel pass that no enemies could arrest him. Then, protected by a guard of the emperor's own soldiers, Nehemiah set off for Jerusalem. When Nehemiah arrived in Jerusalem, he waited quietly for a few days, taking careful note of all that went on. Then, one night, when it was very, very dark, when everyone was asleep, he set off on his donkey to have a thorough look at the whole city. He had a few friends, went all around the outside of Jerusalem, noting where the damage was worst.
In some places, there is so much brick, rubble, and rubbish that we cannot pick our way through.
Nehemiah realized how much there was to be done. The next day, he began to encourage the leaders to begin rebuilding. He told them how God had answered his prayer. He put new heart into them. He called together all the volunteers and split them into working groups. He gave each group one section of the wall or gate to work on. Sometimes a family would work together, or those who lived in the same village would form a team. The goldsmiths, for example, all banded together to build one bit of the wall, and the priests, they did another reconstruction job on the wall. But as soon as they began building in earnest, their enemies, the Samaritans, came to watch and to laugh at them.
What do these miserable Jews think they can do? Even a fox could break through that wall.
But the people went on working, determined to finish the job whatever the difficulties. Sometimes they sang as they worked.
There's so much rubble to take away. How can we build the wall today?
When the wall had grown to half its full height, the Samaritans grew anxious. They did not want Jerusalem to be a safe and strong place again, so they planned to attack the unexpecting workers. Nehemiah heard of it and divided the people into two groups. One half he armed so that they could stand guard, while the other half went on with the building, with the construction. Don't be afraid, Nehemiah told them. God will fight for us. Then he issued all the workmen with a sword to strap at their side and gave each man a weapon to hold. Each builder had his trowel in one hand and his weapon in the other.
I have my sword and my shovel.
Nehemiah also stationed a bugler to sound an alarm if he spotted the enemy coming. Then the builders far and wide could hear the alarm, stop work, and prepare to fight. The workers fast and furious from early morning until the stars came out at night. Nehemiah did not go to bed for days on end. They were all determined to work on until the walls and gates were finished and Jerusalem would be safe from danger. At last, the walls of Jerusalem were completed and the strong city gates in place. Now it would be safe for people to gather in the city square and listen to God's message. Nehemiah called everyone to come, fathers and mothers and their children who were old enough to understand.
Please read to us from the book of the law.
The people asked Ezra, the teacher. So he fetched the scroll and stepped up onto a large wooden platform, and he began reading the law. He had 13 Levites to help him with the readings.
Praise the Lord, the great God.
Ezra called out, and all the people got to their feet and held their hands high. You can do that. They held their hands high and called back,
Amen.
Amen. Then they humbly bowed to worship God before getting up to listen intently to what Ezra would go on to say. First, he read a section from the scroll, and then some of the Levites went up and down the aisles of the crowd and helped them to understand what Ezra had just read. From dawn in the morning to midday, Ezra and his friends read and explained God's word. The people promised once more to keep their side of the covenant and be God's people, trusting him and obey his laws.
Mr. C, can I help build at Fairview? I am an expert architect, jewel designer. I have construction experience. I can calculate how much weight a wall will bear.
Well, Albert, you have a lot of skills. Thank you for offering to help here at Build at Fairview. And a lot of construction happened to repair this building when it was first blocked in 1984. A lot of windows were broken and things were broken and people did come in and build walls. Nowadays, what we can do to help build is to pray, to study, to learn Bible verses, and to be good friends to other people. Can you do that, Albert? All right. Let's pray, everybody. Dear God,